What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi, man, Eric Sheets-Haber, and we're almost through the season. Last week of the full regular season, week 18 for a change. So this should be interesting because we've got a lot of weird situations to try and keep track of, and there's things that teams are playing for, and they're mostly playing at the same times, and then there's weird situations like. I mean, honestly, like you're gonna have to worry about your afternoon stuff because if you're going to play Chargers and Raiders players, you better hope like hell that somehow Jacksonville doesn't pull off the upset of the year and beat Indianapolis. Because if they do, I honestly, and I know in competitive sports you're not really supposed to do this, but if the Chargers and Raiders both get in with a tie, look, the odds of Jacksonville beating Indy are pretty slim. But there's just going to be some weird stuff like that. So you're going to have to be ready to make some swaps depending on what happens in the first games. And it's going to be hard to know exactly who we like. People's projections are going to be a little bit off this early in the week. Sheets, how are you sort of approaching this one? Because I've done pretty well at the end of season stuff in the past. And I tend to try and play the guys who are off the board in the games that don't really matter as much. And then try and mix in with the guys who really need to win. What's your sort of approach here? Because I'm just curious.
So first of all, again, as I posted in the Discord, I did post up projections as of today, but I promise you that they're not going to be the same. Because what I found, and people have been playing this a long time, is usually by the end, by the time comes Sunday, there's going to be some guy you've never heard of at 3K who's going to be the biggest. Who's going to be a lock play running back. I don't know exactly who it's going to be. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know why it's going to be. I don't know the name of the person. I probably don't know who it is. I've never heard of them before. But this is just what happens. I mean, they either rest players, give other players a shot, whatever it is, just shut players down. And I can't even begin to speculate who it's going to be yet. So just all I could say to that is stay with us for projection updates throughout the week. Now, I know Rhodey's not going to be there Sunday. I don't think I'm gonna, if I get to go away, I'm not gonna be here Sunday either. But I'll let you know. But just stay out. This is all very, very early. So we should just like go game by game. I do have a couple of teams that I like, at least given the way it is now, and we'll give you an idea of who looks like good plays for now, and then we'll just kind of just go from there, I guess.
Sounds good to me. That's what it's the first look, so that's what. Just keep that in mind. So why don't we pull up your? Oh, let me do my thing. I didn't give your screen. Oops. Let me just change that. Oops. One participant. All participants. There we go. All right. Let's share your screen, and we'll get into game by game here.
Yeah. One sec. Oops. Share screen. Okay.
All right. So. Why don't you start us off, because I'm still loading our last video. Start us off with the Green Bay Detroit game.
Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers is sitting, at least Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who else, but for now, Aaron Rodgers is sitting. So Jordan Love is going to be the quarterback. And this is just one of those games. You have to wait to see who's starting, wait to see whatever. I currently don't have much interest in anything on the Green Bay side. On the Detroit side, I do like Deandre Swift as a running back this week.
We think he'll play?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't know. The one thing I will say is that Detroit has been out of it the whole year, and they keep trying, and even though it's not Aaron Rodgers, you'd have to think that it's a big deal to beat Green Bay. Okay. Even though, you know what I mean? So I think he's going to play. I think Detroit's going to play whoever's available, honestly. I mean, like they've been putting it out there all freaking year. So I don't know if it's going to be Goff or 50-50 chance of play. I think whoever it is, I actually think Swift's in play. And I think that other dude, the freaking greatest wide receiver in history, is in play. The St. Brown, why is the Green Bay going to play other defensive guys also? I don't know. So I kind of like them. With no run back from Green Bay, I don't want to play those guys getting receptions from Love. I don't want to play one half of Devontae Adams, if that. I don't know. But I kind of like the Detroit guys, I guess.
Yeah, I like St. Brown a lot. They did say before last week that they were going to give which they didn't do. Swift the full run last week and then probably sit him this week. So
Okay.
I would be inclined to like probably just stay away from that situation. The guy's had some
Okay.
injuries and he's actually like the one part of their future, their franchise, along with St. Brown. But I do
Okay.
think St. Brown is in play. And then on the Green Bay side, I don't know. I need to figure out who the receivers are going to end up being, and I actually don't mind the idea of potentially playing Jordan Love. You see what you can do to this Detroit defense. I also am curious, will they let AJ Dillon run wild? It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think there's any reason to play Aaron Jones. So I really am having a hard time, rating it out. But I would say that if there's no Aaron Jones, I would give Dillon a shot. But there's going to be probably better plays later in the slate. And right now, St. Brown is the one guy who's sort of showing up for me in this one.
All right. So this next game is extremely interesting to me. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. So Indianapolis needs to win, right? They're a 100-point favorite. Okay. Jonathan Taylor is going to project to be, the highest scoring running back on the slate by a lot, I imagine. He's going to rate to be a really, really good play. Just be very, very careful with this play. Okay. Because, if Jacksonville, tanks and Indianapolis puts up 28 points in the first half, Jonathan Taylor is not seeing the freaking field. Okay. In the second half. That's my opinion, at least. There literally would almost be professional malpractice to bring him on the freaking field for one more freaking half with a 28-point lead to, when they have a kind of playoff run coming against a team who's honestly putting nobody out on the field because they're tanking. Okay. So I would be very, very careful about playing Jonathan Taylor. I think he is a prime candidate for one half of football. So that's my, I guess, terrible take, I guess, as of 2:12 p.m. on Wednesday, is to just be careful with the Jonathan Taylor play and pretty much most of Indianapolis, if you want to know the truth. And Jacksonville, again, for the reason I just mentioned, I don't think they have much to offer either. So I'm probably going to be off of this game, actually.
Yeah, I'll mostly be off of it, but I have a different take on the Taylor thing. I mean, yeah, if they're up, specifically if they're up 28-0, maybe then it becomes a thing. But if this game is anywhere within 3 scores, I think you're going to see Jonathan Taylor get just an insane amount of work against a defense that can't stop anybody. So I'm going to be heavy on Jonathan Taylor as of right now. That may change. We're also probably going to need to have places to spend money up, and it's a must win and you're in.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be overweight on Jonathan Taylor as of right now, depending on where he ends up. But I understand the thought process. It's just, Jacksonville doesn't necessarily the weird part is they've actually played competitive in some tough games and they got waxed by New England. But at home, like they did beat the Bills earlier this year, and that was like a pretty important game for the Bills. So I personally am just looking at Jonathan Taylor in this game, and there is an argument, I think, to be made for Marvin Jones. 4.3 is a little bit cheap, but sure. That's pretty much all I have in this one. I don't want to get overly invested in a game where I don't like the offense all that much, and I don't think they're going to let Carson Wentz do anything to try and lose them a chance at going to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, not if they know what's good for.
Yeah, seriously. And people will talk about how he doesn't throw picks anymore. You know why he doesn't throw picks anymore? They don't let him. They just don't let him. He just takes 1 million sacks and hands the ball off. Washington and New York Giants here. What do you got? Because I can't.
Dude, I'll tell you what I got.
What do you got?
I got extreme rooting interest in this game.
Ooh.
Okay. Because, all right, so I'm down to the final week in the survivor pool, and I got 23 people left, 22 instead of me. There's 385,000 in the pool, right? And because there's still 23 left, they go to double picks this week. I've been planning for this the whole season. And I have the 2 most likely winners on the whole card that anybody has available. And that would be Buffalo minus 100 over the Jets with must win to win the division. And then you got and then what's his name? And then I have the whoever's playing the Texans, Tennessee to clinch the 1 overall seed. To playing Houston as a 12-point favorite. So I have those 2. Some people do have Tennessee. No one's got Buffalo, and they need a second pick. And the most popular pick on the entire board, there's going to be about 80% ownership on the Washington Redskins this week. Okay. for good reason. Not
Yeah,
for good
no, I
reason.
mean, it's understandable.
There's nobody else left available, and the Giants don't have, anything better than a high school team right now.
Right.
So, but however, so I'm going to be rooting for the Giants. I mean, look, who says Washington is playing for much either? Everybody's freaking there. They're dead too, right? I mean, this game's in New York. The weather's going to be disgusting. I don't know. It's supposed to snow all Friday. I don't know what else is going to happen around here. Hopefully not to be here to watch any of this. But I guess you want to play the running back for Washington again. I guess you could try it. Whoever that's going to be.
I don't think there's any way they play Gibson here. It just would be.
Well, that's what I meant. I meant Patterson.
Patterson. I mean, yeah.
You could play that. And I just don't see any reason, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, play like McLaurin or whatever it is. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be Kyle Allen for Washington?
I think they'll play Heineke.
You think they'll play Heineke? And I don't know. The Giants, they haven't been able to put up any offense, but they've been at least put somewhat resistance defensively. I think this whole game's is just a no play. That's my opinion.
Yeah, if the weather was a little better, I actually think Terry McLaurin would be a really interesting play. But assuming that that they do sit Gibson, which I don't know why you would mess around with this guy, I will play Jarrett Patterson if there's no Antonio Gibson. That's where I'm at. I'm with you on, and good luck on the Survivor. I hope the Giants pull it through for you, because I obviously don't care who wins that game personally. All right, how about Minnesota and Chicago? Another one that really doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, but Zimmer's old school, and he doesn't want to finish with a losing record. They're 7-8. I think he's gonna put forth his best game, even if it means probably doing something stupid and playing Dalvin Cook. They're probably gonna do it. I think they are. I think they're most likely to put for a team that has nothing to play for. I really think that they. Because they've obviously gotten some bad breaks. They've been like in games and out of games. They've been like close like all year long. They've lost some bad ones. They've won some bad ones. And as I said, Zimmer's kind of old school. They did take a beating against Green Bay last week. And I do think they want to end the season on a good note. I think they're going to put forth their best effort. Cousins is going to be activated off COVID. He's going to play. So I do like this stuff. I like Jefferson. I like Cook if he plays. I like the Minnesota offense quite a bit, actually. And on the Bears side, I think Montgomery is one of the good running back plays. Again, this is like an overall game take. I think that Minnesota is just going to come to play. I don't know how much Chicago is going to be able to do, but Montgomery does look like to be, a good, well-projected running back. And if you want to play one of the receivers, I don't know if this is real. But Allen Robinson, is he like retired? He's 4K.
He hasn't had a game this season.
I know, but he's 4K, God's sake. I don't know. Him or Mooney, one of the two. But maybe Jakeem Grant. He had a couple games. Yeah, maybe not. So I would try maybe a little of that. But I think Minnesota's in pretty good. I don't know. I think they're in a good spot here. I don't know why.
Yeah, interesting. What you said makes a lot of sense. I think it's really important to know the kind of coaches and who's going to go for it and who won't. As of right now, I have a mild interest in Cole Kmet and interest in Justin Jefferson. And that's pretty much my interest level for this game. I don't mind the Mooney idea, and partially because I think that there might be an outside chance for Fields to have a big game here. And I don't mind Fields with one of Kmet or Jefferson or Mooney with Jefferson on the other side, but I think there's just better spots that I'm going to wait for. So I'm not all that excited about it, but that's an idea that popped in my head anyway.
Okay, moving on. Tennessee against Houston. I would have thought that I would like a little bit more in this game, but I really don't like much of anything. You're supposed to like AJ Brown, right? That would be my first thing is that I'm supposed to like AJ Brown, and if you want to play anything else on the offense of Tennessee, you do have there's Julio Jones, I suppose, and then you could play the easy run back from Houston, that being Brandon Cooks. So yeah, I guess. You want to play Tannehill with Brown and Jones, run back with Cooks. That certainly makes sense. The guy for Tennessee, the running back who was getting all the work, I think was Dante Foreman, right? Yeah, he got was 26 for 132 in the blowout last week. So, maybe and they can use him, because you want to know what? Who's probably coming back for the playoffs?
You get Henry.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah.
Look, Tennessee was like dead, and they picked it up. They've gotten their act together. They got AJ Brown back, and they reluctant to Kansas City when I lost. They're going to get the 1 seed, the only bye available exactly for the team that needs it the most, to give Henry that one last week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say I'm happy with my 22-1 on Tennessee to win the Super Bowl right now. You want to know the truth, but one step at a time. They got to be Houston, and Houston has been somewhat feisty. They were with San Francisco for a while until they just got kind of overwhelmed. I will also say that, like it or not, Rex Burkhead has become like the bell cow for Houston.
Yep.
He had 16 carries in a kind of a weird game script. He had 6 targets, 6 for 6. Maybe he's a guy to run back with. That's actually a pretty good play, I think. If you're going to play these Tennessee offensive guys, is to play Rex Burkhead, because you get run upside and you get freaking target upside. So I actually don't mind that.
Yeah, this is one of those that I'm really struggling to know what to do with here. I kind of have a little interest in AJ Brown and Brandon Cooks. I guess I'll just go with that. I don't think I'm going to play the running backs in this game. I think Foreman could lose carries to Hilliard, but maybe not. I mean, it's just hard to know what they're going to do exactly. They've sort of have been splitting mostly, but I think you're maybe the best play in this game, along with a couple good defense. We already Washington defense, the Indy defense, and then I like the Tennessee defense. This is one of those weeks where I almost wish you could flex some defenses, because I think there's a chance that one of these defenses go nuts, or a couple of these defenses go nuts. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. I don't know that I want to get overly involved. I might change my opinion later in the week on the Foreman thing.
Yep.
All right, Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Big game.
Kind of.
Well,
they're going to put their best. I mean, look, everybody's going to put their best foot forward. They need a lot to help. They need a lot of help.
Right. But I mean, but this is, it's all you want is for the team to put their best foot forward, right?
Yeah. I guess that's true. Fair enough. What do you like? That's the hard part.
Yeah. What do I like? I don't like anything.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what. I like Naji Harris. That's enough.
Yeah. Naji Harris. I can't believe he didn't go down in the last one, but whatever. It's no, get that extra touchdown because you haven't had enough chances this year. It's fair enough. Yeah. It's Naji is fine with me. I'm good with Naji. I think it's kind of strange. I know Pittsburgh's offense has been pretty bad, but like their point total is really low. I do think that Chase Claypool or Deontay Johnson could get it going, but they really, it's just because of the number of passes. They're going to get there on a PPR. Like, you can't play these guys on FanDuel, like, ever. Okay. Because Roethlisberger threw the ball 45 times and he had 130 yards passing. That's like crazy. It's almost impossible to do. Seriously, it really is. It's like Tebow would never have a game like that. He would only throw it 20 times and have the same number. I think there's an argument to be made for Lamar to Andrews, just going for ceiling. That's pretty much all I really want to talk about here. I don't maybe you run it back with Harris, but I don't think anything is all that exciting from this one, to be honest with you.
Now, again, the reason there's a logic behind, by the way, why some of these games are all 4 o'clock. They want to make these games at 4 o'clock because they want everybody to start. Everybody that's in these meaningful games, they want them to start probably at the same time. And that's why most of my exposure will probably come from them anyway. Like, if you go ahead to Cincinnati, Cleveland, like, for example, I mean, Baker's out. I presume Burrow is out, right? I mean, like.
So the Bengals can't really.
No, he doesn't expect them to play on Sunday, it says. Yeah,
it can't really do that much. I mean, I guess no, they need a lot. Yeah.
I like a little bit of Mixon, and that's pretty much it from this game.
You think they're going to let Mixon go?
I think a little bit. I mean, I think that, like I said, they could jockey a little bit for position, right? Kind
of. I mean, it's weird because.
Oh no, that's it. Joe Mixon, he's doubtful. He's COVID. He's out.
Yeah, so no mix. I just think that they're gonna.
So here we go. So wait. So here we go. So Perrine
or Chris Evans, but Perine's
right.
not really like an all down back. Yikes! I don't know if I like any of it, to be honest.
Okay,
it's
so
like
maybe
Perine is minimum.
Evander Holyfield. I mean, is he? I didn't even know he played football.
Will Jamar Chase go out there and break? Continue to try to win the offensive rookie of the year? Is there a reason for him to?
With Brandon Allen throwing to him?
I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, look, I don't understand why people keep trying to play one-on-one against this guy. Except for the fact that their offense is loaded. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't leave Tyler Boyd and Higgins open either.
No, I know it's true, but it just was weird to me how often. I mean, after the first half, you think the Chiefs would have at least thrown one double team at Chase last week. It was pretty bad. But yeah, this feels like a stay away game. The weird part about this is we've seen, maybe you could play Jarvis Landry, I think, in this game.
No. This is going to be, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be Demetric Felton season. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get Chubb and Kareem Hunt both ruled out.
Why?
I don't know. Why should they play?
It's a rivalry game. Cincinnati, Cleveland. I think Cleveland will put their best foot forward, which doesn't mean having Baker. And by the way, I was trying to talk myself into this pre-show, like into the Case Keenum thing. But maybe it's just too much of a point. I don't want to just of my frustrations with Baker. But I do think Jarvis Landry is a really solid play. And I think that Keenum has a little bit he'll find open guys and there's a chance that maybe Higgins or Peoples-Jones break one. I think Cleveland puts their best foot forward in this game. I don't think they have any reason not to. I like Cleveland to win this game, by the way, for what it's worth. I don't know why they're underdogs with basically, I think Cincinnati going to sit basically everyone who matters for at least half the game. So I kind of like Jarvis Landry, and I'm debating whether or not I can pull the trigger on a very, very cheap. If there's no Chubb, I would definitely take a look at Case Keenum here. And that sounds weird, but that's where I'm at right now. And if Chubb sits, maybe you know what, they'd probably the worst thing though. Why would they sit Hunt also? Wouldn't they want Hunt to get some carries after not playing in a million weeks?
Because maybe he can't play. I mean,
well, if he can't go, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Save him for the playoffs or whatever. But it seems like not save him for the playoffs.
No.
Yeah, maybe they don't get him. Maybe, I don't know. It could be Dearness Johnson's season. That's definitely.
Dearness Johnson is out.
So who's
he's got COVID. This is what I'm telling you. It's freaking.
It's going to be Chubb.
Felton season.
It's going to be Chubb, man. Chubb is if you want to take a shot on somebody who can break a slate this week and who's not going to project well, I think Chubb is the guy.
Yeah, if he plays.
I just don't think they would sit him though. I think they're gonna try to put their best foot forward. Like you could say you're risking the future of Chubb or whatever, but at the same time, this is a rivalry game and Cleveland doesn't have anything to play for, but they have their pride. And
I don't think they do.
Well, with Baker playing, I might agree with you, but I don't know. I could see Chubb having a game here. I'm kind of interested in the Cleveland offense against the Cincinnati defense that I really don't know who they're going to even put out there. So that's it. I guess that's all I have to say about that one. What do you think about this Tampa Bay situation?
Tampa Bay, I have as my 6th best team to target. Minnesota was the 5th, by the way. I haven't even gotten to anybody I liked. Actually, Indianapolis like the 7th. So Tampa is like the 6th. God knows who's playing. Wide receiver, I suppose Mike Evans is going to look good with AB out. I presume that Brett Perriman is going to look good with AB out, right? I presume that Gronkowski is going to look good with him out. But how is Tampa certainly going to be playing hard?
So they're 12-4. You have the Rams at 12-4 also who have beaten them. So you could hope the Rams lose, I guess, and they'd move up a spot. Does that really mean enough to them? And I guess so. They'd want to play at home
for a 44-year-old quarterback.
The Cowboys are 11-5. Yeah, but it's a 44-year-old quarterback who doesn't really get hit. And by the way, the Vikings can't get to 500. I just want to point that out from the previous spot.
Oh, I thought they were 7-8. Oh, okay.
They're 7-9. It's weird. I know I keep making that mistake.
Oh, right. That's right.
I was thinking that about Cleveland too before, and I was trying to.
Maybe I tempered my expectations of them then.
Yeah, I think that I think the Bucks. The point spread certainly makes it look like the guys will play.
Well, I don't see. That's the thing. I don't think so. The spread was like 9,
8.
I thought if they were playing, I thought it'd be like 15.
Yeah, but Tampa Bay has looked terrible.
Okay.
So the best play in this game, in my opinion, and maybe one of the best plays on the slate is DJ Moore.
Oh, wow.
The first guy I have as a priority. Tampa Bay can't cover receivers.
Right.
I've talked all year about this, and they really are struggling in this situation, and they like to let them isolate out there. I could see Moore having a really big game. Other than that, in this game, I think I'm probably going to be off the Tampa Bay side of things. You could make an argument for Grayson. You could make an argument for, I don't think Perriman is as viable. Probably Grayson or Tyler Johnson would be my favorites of those guys, but I think I'll probably just pass. It's harder to know this early in the week, but I want to get a better feel for it later. But I think you're going to get a good half out of Brady, and that'll probably be all they need to do. But we'll see. Depends on Carolina gets up early or something like that. You're going to see. I think you'll see them. They'll be firing it around. And then the real thing is going to be the running back. What do they do with their? Is it going to be Keshawn Vaughn or Ronald Jones? I don't usually like running backs against Carolina, but I'd be open to one of those guys this week. What do you think about New England, Miami?
I think Miami's a stone lock to win the game for openers.
Ooh.
I know New England has to win or whatever. This is like the Brian Flores special. I mean, he comes from the Belichick tree. You know what I mean? They're freaking at home. New England's coming down to play Miami in a must-win game. You know, or they'd like to win. Let's put it that way. Game. I think Miami gets the win outright. That's my take on the game. I really don't have any particular DFS lean in anybody in this game. Except I guess
bold take, by the way.
What's that?
And I like it's a bold take what you're saying here.
I guess I like Waddle. Maybe can I play Tua? No, probably not. New England's too tough defensively to really to stack anybody against them. But I think Waddle's a good maybe a decent one off. But I definitely like Miami.
Interesting. Okay. I think New England wins this game, but I don't love that. I mean, they're 6.5 point favorite. It's a pretty big favorite right there. I don't think this is a game that I'm going to be particularly interested in for DFS purposes. I really, other than Waddle, I really can't find anything to like too much. So that's where I'm at.
I agree.
New Orleans, Atlanta. This is
gross. Just
yuck.
Gross. And here's another game. Like New Orleans needs to win, right?
They can't get in. I don't think.
You sure? I think they can.
9 no. Well,
No,
hold on.
sure?
Let me double check. I thought I have Cowboys are in, Philadelphia's in, Rams are in, Cardinals are in, Packers are in, Bucks are in. So
no, Saints have a 28% chance to make the postseason.
Oh yeah, they have to win, and they need what do they need?
Yeah, remember there's all these other teams that, you know what I mean? There's Philadelphia, I think that's the other one.
I was told Philadelphia clinched, but
San Francisco. San Francisco's still.
Oh, that's what I'm missing. Yeah.
San Francisco and Philly. They're both 9-7, and New Orleans is 8-8. And everybody plays late.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about it. So what with that said, what are we?
Well, I mean, you certainly have to respect Kamara in the spot, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I'll tell you this, Atlanta's trying. So I like, but unfortunately, I just don't think you could play a single fantasy player against New Orleans defense. It's like ever.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I don't even know if we would.
I could try Patterson. I could try Gage. Obviously, Pitts has been good. I just can't do it. I mean, no matter how many times I try to do it, they just get no fantasy points. New Orleans gives up no yards to anybody. It's like amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess Kamara, that would be, I guess, my idea from this game.
Kamara, and I kind of like the over in this game, by the way. It's 40, and I understand that the defense is good for New Orleans, and Atlanta's been actually okay. But in the Dome, I think this is actually going to be a little bit higher scoring than people think. And I just want to say that I think that Callaway is finally catching on.
Yes.
He had a nice week last week after I sort of been keeping tabs on him. But I don't know that I need to play him at 5K here because I think we're going to get better value as the slate sort of shakes out.
Absolutely.
So that's where I am. How about this Jets Buffalo game?
All right, so here we go. So this is the same problem. So Buffalo, I have rated as like the top overall play, along with two others. But same thing as I mentioned with the Jacksonville game. Okay, if it depends what happens. If Buffalo comes out and stomps, you would think that they might kind of like take the Jets off and maybe even in the fourth quarter, maybe even sit Josh Allen if the game's in hand. However, that's not usually Buffalo's modus operandi. I mean, they usually continue to press and throw the ball, whatever. But considering how important Josh Allen is and whatever, I don't know how much they're gonna. I don't know what happened last week. I had the same kind of concept last week, is that maybe they wouldn't like run him too much or whatever it is. What did he end up doing? He ended up rushing for 15 rushes for 81 yards. So,
right.
So much for that idea. But it was a close game. Okay, so it was different. But I do have Buffalo rated. I mean, as the top. You could play Stephon Diggs if you want. You could play. Man, you got to play single. No, I don't want to play Singletary. So it's one of those things. They rate well because of Jets defense, but I just don't see this game script working in their favor with respect to piling up enough fantasy points. So I'm probably not going to really play as much of them as my projections will want me to.
Yeah, interesting. I think that I'm interested a little bit in them. I don't know. I want to see if Sanders is healthy. If not, we could consider Gabriel Davis and Beasley along with Diggs as all decent plays, and Dawson Knox. I think that Singletary is viable. The problem is he might turn into Zach Moss in the fourth quarter also. So I do think Allen and Singletary will be priority-ish for me. And I mean, I don't think I need to mention to anybody that the Buffalo defense is also a really good one.
They're like a lock.
There's like a lot of locks though. If you look at the defenses this week, I mean, there's some defenses there. You're going to get 20 points out of a couple defenses this week, I think.
Yeah.
All right. 49ers, Rams.
Well, I would also like to say, in fairness, he freaking did not disappoint his chalk last week, Braxton Berrios. They got him a freaking rushing touchdown. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I think the wide receiver handed it off to him or something like that. He also has sneaky return upside. You know what I mean? Because he returns balls too. Double-digit targets, 25 fantasy points, and this is his game script. I would, assuming he plays, I think I'd probably want to go right back to him. No, I mean he's up to 4,900. It's not like a lock anymore, but I don't know. I would take a shot at that. No,
not for me. I just don't. I mean, at 4,900, there's going to be other receivers that emerge in good matchups. He's in a terrible matchup, but he could get some work. I mean, I understand it. It's just not my kind of play because I think you're going to need some touchdowns at some point from your guys this week. All right, San Francisco and the Rams, and as I called last week, and I think it was a pretty good call. I said if Lamar played, I'd take Baltimore. No matter what, I like Baltimore in the points. Yeah, and that obviously worked out. Thanks. We got a fortunate late touchdown by the Rams there. To hang on. Now, this game does matter. It matters more to San Francisco than it does to the Rams. I think with the Rams over aggressive pass rush, I've seen this happen over and over again with scrambling quarterbacks. There is a lot of rushing upside, and Trey Lance should absolutely be in play. I don't know if I can pair him with a receiver, and this is what we would going back to that conversation. I still don't believe that it needs to matter that much because of the quarterbacks not having a very different. Outside of rushing, it's really hard unless you're Joe Burrow throwing for 500 yards, it's hard to separate yourself as a quarterback. So the 5,500 is kind of appealing to me. There is some stuff with Cooper Kupp, breaking some records and all that stuff still in play. I think he's completely viable. Didn't have his best week last week at Baltimore. The Rams secondary is really, the what's it called is really suspect. But maybe like a Lance with Kupp on the other end. That I think is kind of an interesting way to go. I don't know who I would want to pair. I'm still into the fact that, like, it's kind of weird to me. Like last week I didn't play Ayuk, and he had a nice game, but it was nothing. It wasn't like crazy or anything. He missed that touchdown by a little bit, but I don't know. I just feel like it's basically those for me. Kittle's had some big games in the past against the Rams. I guess you could consider Kittle with Lance, but mostly it's going to be Kupp and Trey Lance in this game for me. But I don't really want the quarterback for the Rams. I don't really want the wide receivers for San Francisco. I do like Eli Mitchell. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention I like Eli Mitchell.
I believe it or not, I am of the belief, and this is, people might hate this, even if they're a San Francisco fan, but I'm of the belief that they're going to try to get Garoppolo to play.
Okay.
Yeah, I particularly was unimpressed with Trey Lance's performance in the last game. I thought he was I thought he was really bad. He had a couple of deep ones late or whatever it is. I think that San Francisco, if they can get Garoppolo ready to play, they're going to do it. That's and we can argue about what's better for them as a team. But I also feel as though that if you play Lance and he's struggling, they might pull him. If Garoppolo could even walk, that's, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. That's just kind of like my feel. But then again, San Francisco do they have to win? I mean, they're going to probably do a little scoreboard watching, right?
Yep.
But it's so cool. It's all these games are at the same time.
Yeah, they definitely have to. They definitely have to try to win for sure.
Well, they have to try to win. What I'm saying is, like, how desperate is it? You know what I mean? Like if they see New Orleans losing, for example,
doesn't matter. They have to beat Philly. Then they need Philly.
Then they need to beat out Philly, right?
Right. I think Philly's already beaten them, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard. I don't have everything right in front of me right here.
Yeah. Okay. So in any case, I'm not into playing any quarterbacks against the Rams. One of the truth. I know what you said about it being over aggressive and stuff like that, but I don't know. And then again, I like the Rams, but boy, oh boy, San Francisco's tough, man. It's tough to do much against them. It's a typical, does defenses matter or not? Because they're very, very tough. And
I'll tell you what's not tough is their cornerbacks are not tough.
Well, if that's the case,
terrible.
then I'm gonna stick by my guns. Then I'm gonna go with Stafford. I'll go with Kupp, and I'll go with the resurgent Odell Beckham.
Why are people playing Stafford? Can I ask this question? I really want to answer this one. Like he literally never puts up a game that we want at his price, basically.
No.
Just because we like the receivers, I think it's a huge mistake that people make in DFS is that they try to overly do this. And why, when you can get the same amount of points as Matthew Stafford, why wouldn't you pay like $1,500 less for a quarterback?
Because when Kupp and Beckham receive the touchdowns, Stafford's going to throw to them.
Yeah, but who cares? It doesn't matter. He's still going to put up the same amount of fantasy points as the other guys are. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know. He's been really terrible for what it's worth for a while. And
is he not like leading the NFL in yardage? I mean, wasn't he?
I don't think he's even in the ballpark.
You sure?
I'm concerned.
Okay.
Let's see. The last couple of weeks, he threw for 300 yards last week. Threw 2 picks. Had a fumbling touchdown.
No. I get it. Okay.
His fantasy, even if his fantasy production has been terrible. And in some games where they actually needed him, he was terrible against the Vikings. Before that, he had 9 fantasy points. Had a good game against Arizona. I don't know. I just think that even still, like, you're paying $6,700 for a guy. I need to have guys who can get to 30 fantasy points if I'm going to play a guy $6,700, in my opinion. That's just my take, because I don't see any reason to pay up for 3 points.
I mean, I guess he was injured. I don't know it's a fair comparison, but let me see something. I mean, aside from Brady, who's got more? I mean, he's got 38 touchdown passes. Who's got more?
Because of his receiver. Yeah, that's
but because of his receivers.
This is you're actually proving my case even more, because if with all of that he still hasn't had 30 fantasy points in a game this season.
All right.
So what would we be doing with him? That's just my personal. But I mean, look, it could go the other way. I do like San Francisco in this game a little bit. So
okay. What's the spread here? 6 or something like that?
4.
4.
Yeah. It just feels, and the Rams don't like desperately need to win. Like, it's not going to make a huge difference on their season. It would be nice, but we'll see. Maybe I'll reconsider a little bit. I'm not going to play Stafford, but I do think that I do like Kupp, and I could consider Beckham and Higbee. But that's pretty much all I have on the Rams side. I don't know if I can. I don't think I could do it with Stafford. I do think Higbee is like at 4K. That's kind of an interesting play at 4K. I think there's upside for him there. But it just feels like a kind of game where they're going to go heavy to Kupp.
What do you think? You like Sony Michel? Or the other one, or the San Francisco running backs?
Yeah, I like Mitchell. I don't like Michelle quite as much. That's just
I don't need to play running backs against this team.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So if you didn't like any of that, okay, to close out the season, you get Kyler Murray et al., whatever al means nowadays, against hopefully you get Russell Wilson and his whole squad. I don't know. I think this game could put on a show. It could be owned. I imagine it will be. And I'm in there, man. I'll do it. I'll game stack it. I'll play both sides of it. I'll play the Wilson side with the receivers, if presuming everything's good over there. I'll play Kyler Murray with I like Zach Ertz for openers. And I'll play Christian Kirk, and maybe even, I don't know, screw around with any of these other guys like Wesley, AJ Green, whatever it is. Maybe, like you said, maybe you don't need to stack him with too many people because of his rushing upside. So I'm involved in this one. I'll finish off the season. As a matter of fact, between this one and the San Francisco Rams game, how on earth does the Arizona game not have more points than the San Francisco Rams game? Yeah. So I'm going to be in there on this one.
Yeah, it's another weird one for Arizona. I think by the end of it, I think we're going to have James Conner out, and Edmonds is probably going to end up being the main running back. I just don't know why they need to win. Like, the seeding is not going to matter all that much.
Well, dude, they could win the division.
They can't be. Oh, they can't. I think the Rams have the tiebreaker now.
Yeah.
No. But even if the Rams lose and they win,
no, they have the division.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what what am I missing here?
Yeah.
No, they're in the same division.
That's what I'm saying. Arizona's 4-1 in the division.
Oh, so I thought for some reason I thought the Rams had the tiebreaker.
No,
I totally mixed this up.
No.
Okay, well that's my mistake then.
They're rocking it. I mean, like, they're going to try.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I already liked it anyway, so I guess I'm gonna have to like it even more now. I do like Murray. I like Murray to. I think this Antoine Wesley, they really do look for him a lot. I mean, I think that he's going to be a value guy. I definitely am looking at this week. But Penny, Metcalf, Ertz, Murray, that whole part of this game is, I feel like, a good sort of stack. I don't mind if Russell Wilson does play to maybe take a shot with Lockett. I don't know that I'm going to bet on Russell Wilson balling out unless they want to give him another goodbye. Hey, you can go and throw the ball a bunch. But I really like the Penny, Metcalf, and I like Ertz, potentially Wesley, and then one of Green or Kirk are fine, especially Wesley I'm much more interested in if Rondo Moore's out. So I guess we'll see on that one. And we'll see on Connor. Edmonds I love a lot if Connor is out. So,
well, let's look at this a second. So first of all, I'm reading the DraftKings thing. It says he has little to play for except for personal milestones. Does he have milestones? I mean, like what's his? And this is something we didn't talk about. We usually talk about this, what different incentives are for different players and different things like that. We got to do a little research on that. At least I do, because I didn't look at it yet. Before we meet again on Sunday about this, because there's so many things. What else?
There's not a whole lot else out. I mean, Antonio
Brown
and Cooper Kupp were the biggest. Antonio Brown was the biggest milestone guy of anybody left in football, where if he had 30 more yards and a touchdown, he would have got an extra $1 million. And then Cooper Kupp breaking all the receiving records is another thing that could happen. But I don't think there's anything. I mean, I can't imagine what Russell Wilson could be nearing this year. He's been terrible. I think it's really just how much do they care about Russ and want to say, hey, look, our guy is still good enough, sign him or whatever. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not retiring, right?
No. He's going to go play for somebody else. But
why? Well, if they just let him throw the ball, maybe they could make a case that they should stay there or something.
But you would have thought they would have done that his last home game, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, well, the Wilson stack won the money." Well, Yes, but at the same
Sort of,
time,
right? Yeah.
he threw the ball 29 times. Like it wasn't like he was. They were running the ball like crazy. The real play in that game was Penny, who went nuts.
Right.
So I don't know. And Penny did most of his damage. Then they ran the ball a ton, and then they started throwing the ball at the end. So I don't know.
I'm looking at this just for fun to see if there's any like career stuff that he. No, because he's not retiring, so it doesn't make a difference. Right?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that I'm personally missing.
Well, this could be his first. Well, could be his first year without 20 touchdowns, unless he has 2.
Okay,
that's something.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but
well, excuse me. Not only that, this would be his first season ever without 3,000 yards, unless he blows for 361.
That's interesting.
Okay.
So maybe
he's only played 12 games, so he has an excuse, but still.
Okay. I think that's
so
interesting.
We need 361 and 2.
Okay. That would probably, I mean, if he's got 361 and 2, he's probably got 361 and like 3 or 4.
Right.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I can get behind it. I'm into this game in general though. So that's where I stand on this. And then we don't have the other game until the evening game, which could literally be the worst Sunday night football game ever if somehow Jacksonville were to beat Indianapolis.
What game is that?
It's the Raiders and Chargers.
Oh, if in fact it doesn't matter. Right.
What do you think, Sheets? Let me ask that real quick. What are your take? Because I don't care what anybody says. Old school, they play for this and stuff. In general, I understand fans pay for tickets, but I don't think there's any way you could talk me out of not trying to tie with the other team. I really don't. I just don't want. Why when you have zero risk for going to the playoffs, especially for two teams that aren't in the playoffs regularly, why wouldn't you just make sure you're both in?
Wait, tell me what this is. Tell me what this is.
If somehow, and it's a big if, it's obviously not going to happen, but if Jacksonville were to beat Indianapolis, they have a tie between the Raiders and Chargers, get them both in. Oh, and there's a little rivalry there, but like,
dude,
what are they going to do? Why would some teams? Why are you going to try and beat the other team when you're?
Why would you? What they would first of all they would get a big freaking phone call from the competition committee. That would be the problem.
Yeah, but you could probably hide it, like make it like where you sort of.
No, it would be a joke. They'd be following it the whole game. You couldn't hide anything.
You could probably hide it well
enough.
No
way. Everybody'd be angling for it. All the teams would be watching every single play. They'd be like,
the coaches get together beforehand. You say, okay, we're going to run, a double move with this receiver. And
they can make it like World like WWE or something like that.
I mean, seriously though, but I mean, the playoffs are a big deal. And once you're in, you got a chance. And why would you?
There's one other thing again. There's one other thing out there, by the way. Even if both teams have nothing, whatever it is, that you do have Raiders playing for John Madden.
I bought into that narrative last week, even though I didn't end up, there was no bets or anything I was making on it. But I really thought when I started watching that game, I was like, there is something going on with this. Like, I mean, they were playing in Indy, they were huge underdogs, and that was a big, big win for their franchise. So it's interesting.
I'm telling you, that would be the guilt trip, by the way, that the competition committee would say, if John Madden were alive, do you think that he would allow your team to give up the possibility of winning for the possibility of tying? You know what I mean?
The possibility of making the postseason for the first time in years.
John Madden would never accept making the playoffs by rigging a game. You know what I mean? Like,
all right. I'm just saying, like, I mean, there's a lot of money that goes with it. There's a lot of things that go with it, and there's a lot of people who could get fired if you don't listen to what the owner says. So,
can I tell you something?
What's that?
Chargers would find a way to screw it up. That's
what I was saying. That's exactly my whole thing. There's somehow. This game is going to be like, if that was to happen. Now, look, it's not going to matter because I don't think there's any way that Indy's going to lose to Jacksonville. Although I really want to see it because it would make it really fun. But it would be pretty funny for the Chargers to find a way to blow that one. Anyway, guys, well, good luck this week. Me and Brody will be with you tomorrow doing our pick show. But for right now, this was just a first look into what's going to be a very complicated week. I always say on these weeks, you can go one of two ways. My way would be less higher buy-in. Much more spread out and take shots at the millionaire with weird plays. I almost won the million on this week once, finished fourth or fifth in that one. Darius Geis was a 0.37% owned play who scored more than fantasy points than anybody that week by a lot. He had 48 fantasy points. And so when that happens that's what happens on these kind of weeks. You could end up with a 0.5% owned guy who could end up breaking the slate. So keep an eye out. Anyway, Sheets, anything else before we get out of here?
No.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody, and we will see you guys at the top of the leaderboards hopefully this weekend. Last week of the regular season. Let's get it.